So I got the pro version of the software I've been using to record my dice tray. And all of a sudden, I don't seem to be getting the recording to work. So that's what happens when you try to eat before you stream. Although I can't say I'm going to stop. It is a Thursday night. I am a Screaming Wyvern. I call myself Screaming because I live in this world, and I call myself Wyvern because I hoard TTRPGs like a dragon. I'm also unbalanced and occasionally toxic. And tonight, I will be continuing from last week. The game is Alone in the Loop by Paul Doyle. The nature of the game is time travel. Tom, in 13 days, died. And if I remember correctly, this will be the 10th time. I think that I said 8 last time, but I'm really sure that I got a number incorrect somewhere. So I believe that this will be attempt 10 to save his life. Now, in that time, we've learned some interesting things. Number one, his ex-girlfriend Janice actually was a psychopath, and he actually did have a restraining order out against her. That wasn't actually some joke that you make at the bar. So, slightly more importantly, I have, in order to save Tom's life, decided to make a deal with some elder being, and I am not in a position where I can contact them again. So that is going to prevent me from breaking out of the loop until I actually do exactly what my deal with the devil made me do. Number 3. I seem to also be trying to stop myself. The me is about 20 years older. The current me is living in an apartment, so I'm going to assume that he's 20. Let's go ahead and say 24. And although he didn't do anything to stop me the last time, he clearly has a plan to figure out some point where he absolutely is going to stop me. And number 4, I cannot tell anyone about Tom's death, the loop, any of this. It's not that I didn't want to. It's that they could not hear me. So the effort was wasted. Let's go ahead and switch over and see if I can pull up the rule book. Perfect. Okay. I think I want to go ahead and scope this up a little bit. And down here, Nope, that's the background picture. You are on You are still on. Do you want me to reset you? Oh yeah, that's what everyone wanted to see. And this is my house. And over here are my plushies. Aren't they nice? And there's sideways, but the sound wave. Go ahead and stop that before I cause any motion sickness. All right. So, to quickly recap, you're a time traveler caught in an endless loop, repeating the same sequence of minutes or days or weeks again and again. Perhaps you hope to change the future. Perhaps you only wish to avert a terrible fate. Living in the loop changes you in ways you weren't prepared for. As you strive to change the course of events, you'll witness your failures and their consequences over and over. But the little changes, the glimmers of paths yet unexplored, the convulsions of inevitability defied. It's these things that you cling to. And now, let's make sure that Paul gets his rightfully earned credits. There we go. So, last time, I established the loop. Establishing the loop determines the basics of how it works. So, what that came down to is that a powerful entity answered my call, which I started to save someone important to me. And the length of the loop is 13 days because I had a king. At least I really hope that's the case, because that's what I remember, and I didn't have a chance to fully review. So that's where things started. The next step was living the loop, and that's obviously still going on. Living the loop means that I am in the process of telling a story. I Don't think it's any more complicated than that. The way that things happen, since I am dealing with days, I go ahead and I do a spread of 4 cards. Each card drawn represents a important event in this particular loop. The type of event for diamonds, something changes. For hearts, something adds to the understanding of the loop. For spades, I get to try to actually change something, do something that I haven't done before. And clubs is dealing with isolation, either because I'm failing, because I had a theory of what I was able to do that's turned out to be untrue, or just I've been in the loop too long and it's upsetting. And then as soon as we have the type of point, what is the subject of the inflection point? For example, a jack would be a detail in the world around you. And if I had a jack of clubs, which again is isolation, is unhappiness, that probably means that I see something that gives me cause to regret starting this loop. So, this is the 10th. We have failed to save Tom. Well, obviously 9 times at this point. No, 10 times, because the one that caused us to go ahead and make the deal obviously counted as a time. And as a quick aside, would like to stop that. As a quick aside, I had a really good friend before I moved over to where I am right now. The choice of the name Tom is not some deep-rooted hope that something bad will happen to them, which will cause someone to throw themselves into some weird time loop. The names of the characters are for storytelling purposes only, and are not reflective of any actual person currently living or currently not living, which hopefully everyone knows. Not knowing that is how AI psychosis starts, so don't do that. All right. First card, diamonds. That's an interesting combination. So it's day 2 of loop 10. My character got up once again and made his way to the road where Tom will be killed in 11 days. Or no, I decided that I believe I decided that day 12 is when the death happens. Day 13 is the mourning period, and day 14, which is outside the loop, obviously, is when the deal was made. So I'm on the road and I'm looking for anything I can do to block off Tom's walk or block off the road. And of course, I have a theory that Tom's ex-girlfriend Janice might be involved. Janice, a couple of loops ago, I told Janice that Tom was really interested in getting back together with her, so that she would hide him in her basement. And this time around, he was not killed by being hit by a car, which is a good change, I guess. So what I've learned is that I can't actually communicate with anyone. Literally, if I tried telling one of our joint friends about the situation, and he literally could not understand me. So, what if I did something that didn't necessarily communicate, but would still distract? So, I go down to the local big box store. I had an idea earlier of when this happened. I think I'm going to say 2012 for no real reason. Except it's, back in time, so why not? Let's see. So the iPhone was on the 5. So yeah, pretty reasonable as far as what phones are available. So go to the local big box store, get one of those prepaid phones. Go ahead and take, a couple of days to get it charged and ready. I know what the king is inevitably, but let's go ahead and see what gets me there. 9 of clubs. So this is the isolation situation. And it's something to do with my own past from before the loop. That's a difficult one, just in coordination with what else is going on. So we'll go ahead and add a third complication. You're a monster. Okay, so right now, I'm contending with the isolation, but also discovering something that is transcending. Well, get it all out in the open. Open? So I've got this phone. It's fully charged. It's all ready. All I have to do is, on the day that Tom is going to try and cross the street and get hit, all I need to do is distract him. And if I can call this burner phone, I leave the burner phone there. I call the burner phone. It's a maximum volume, so there's a distracting noise. Tom will certainly turn around, and that'll give me a few seconds. I mean, at this point, doing it myself didn't work. That was the first 2 loops. But this is passive. This is not me doing anything. And as I'm scoping out the perfect place to put it, I can hear a voice. A woman's voice asking if he's actually worth it. and I feel nails caress the back of my neck, and I turn around, and it's a girl I used to have a crush on in high school. And I look at her, and she smiles, and she says, "Have you really taken a moment to think about this? Is he actually worth it?" Now, the way I'm reading this, if we go ahead and go off the page for a moment, someone you thought you knew regarding a change in the iteration. Also, a change in the iteration done by the object or force that powers the loop. So, in both these cases, maybe I'm talking about this ex-girlfriend. Let's go ahead and call her Annie. Maybe Annie is the person I thought I knew. Maybe Tom is who I thought I knew. But definitely having someone that I had a crush on suddenly show up here with knowledge about what exactly is going on is going to fit all of our prerequisites. So Annie is here, and not to be too generic about it, but the fact is that it works for a reason. She is, of course, in a red dress. Maybe to make it, even better, she's a natural redhead. And she looks a little bit older than the wyvern, obviously, of this story would expect her to. 10, 15 years, which obviously me now would understand that would make her even more attractive. But she would have been the same age as Wyvern normally, but she's older here. And she's questioning why I'm doing this, why this is so important to me, what I think I am going to prove. And she offers me a choice. I can keep on this damn fool crusade, her words, or I can keep suffering. On the one hand, there's a friend's life, and on the other hand, there's her. And so far, Wyvern has not shown the best intelligence, so I'm pretty sure that he is not doing well in the love arena. Now, this will be the second time I've run across, or the second person that I've run across, who comes from the future. But at this point, I have to say to her, no. The temptation is strong. Don't get me wrong, but I've done all this for a reason, and I'm not going to let it. I'm not going to let go of it. And she sighs. And she says, that's a pity. And she walks off. And that's when I noticed that she took the phone. My entire plan for this particular loop oriented around this whole phone idea, and now it's gone. But I'm here, and I was planning on watching. So I go ahead and I wait for the time. And sure enough, there's Tom in a sea of people. And the only thing I can think of to do at this point is to rush at him, heedless of who's in the way. And he doesn't see me, he just sees that all these people are stopping and some people are tripping and falling. And so he steps off the sidewalk to get away. And obviously, even though he was just a little earlier than normal, or the previous times, he gets hit by a vehicle moving at top speed. Loop 11. 5 of diamonds. This is a stranger you've seen somewhere before, which causes me to observe something different about this iteration of the loop. I think I'm going to do the same as before, where I'm going to get some more information. Interesting. So something is different because of a stranger I've seen before and carefully kept secrets. I'm trying to change the events, but I'm also dealing with frustration, both caused by power structures and important figures. I really need to stop rolling this die. So, Loop 11, Day 3. I wake to a knock on my door. There's a very official-looking person in a suit and tie. Little wispy circular glasses. And Mr. Wyvern, yes, I am. Well, I was your father's lawyer. You may remember me. I have some important things to discuss with you. May I come in? And of course, I've just barely woken up. But I invite him in to see what might be going on here. And he says, so I received a letter today. It was written by your father and apparently was delayed in the post for quite a long time. They must have thought that it was it was lost at this point. And it actually contains a check for a sizable amount from a bank account that was not listed in your father's records when he worked with me. So I'm not sure what to do with this. And I'm like, well, that's very interesting, and normally I'd be happy to hear it, but why today? Well, today's the day where I just happen to have finished evaluating the accuracy of this check, and I assumed you'd want to know about it as soon as possible. You're with him, aren't you? I beg your pardon. I have no idea who him could be. I am your father's lawyer, and I am doing my best to pass on something of your father's. After a decade, he's been dead for a decade, and now you're here offering me this treasure. I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's no. I don't believe it. This is another attempt. Another attempt at what? I'm not even going to bother trying to tell you. I know that either you already know it, or you won't be able to hear me speak. So just let's not bother with this. Sir, Mr. Wyvern, sir. I hold in my pocket a life-changing amount of money, and you have decided that you are going to treat me with disrespect over it. Well, it's not real, so obviously I am. Mr. Wyvern, the check is made out to me, and I was going to give it to you. Are you indeed telling me that you are so caught up in whatever paranoia has gripped you that you are going to reject my offer? You're me, you're Annie. I don't know who or what you are. You're just something trying to fool me. Mr. Wyvern, just get out. And I'm so frustrated at this point that I actually grab him and throw him towards the door. So it shouldn't come as a surprise when an hour later he's back and I have found myself in another timeline where when Tom dies, I'm stuck in a holding cell. $21, 2, where the hell is 12? 12. So, just like normal, the first day is disorienting. I've gone back almost a week, or almost 2 weeks, and I have to piece together what has happened again. So it isn't until the second day when I can actually start doing things. And as always, I start off by evaluating the road where Tom dies. And then I open the window. Only something isn't quite right. This time, while I'm in the process of analyzing the area, while I'm trying to make a mental sketch of where things are and how I can interfere with them, I noticed that Tom is actually walking down the street towards me. And I'm happy to see him. And I run up to him and give him a big bro hug. And he's like, "Wow, Wyvern, this is a bit much. We just saw each other last week. So little weird. Yeah, I have been thinking about you a lot." Okay, still not sure if that's a good thing or if that's creepy or not, but thanks, I guess. So since I haven't wiped out my bank account by buying a phone this time around, I take Kim to a coffee shop. And of course, I can't tell him anything, or he won't understand. In fact, I go ahead and I test. I ask him if he's given any thought to what would happen if he dies, and he laughs. So that's kind of morbid. No, I guess not. And I say, what if you knew that you were going to die in 10 days? And he's like, die in I didn't hear you. 10 days. I repeat, 10 days, and then poof. So what happens in 10 days? Never mind. Look, did you have any plans in 10 days? No, I was actually just gonna stay home. Okay. That sounds like a great thing. I don't remember you coming down the street that often. And he gets a little weirded out by that. Wyvern, I don't know what's going on, but I think I need to head out. And I stand up and I gently, no, I'm sorry. I know I'm acting a little bit weird. I haven't slept that much in the last couple of days. Just some things at work that are stressing me. The stress of being a barista. Well, yes. There's a new employee, and it's a lot. Look, let me go ahead and get you another coffee, and you lead the topic. I just I want to hang out for a bit. And he looks me in the eye and he considers for a moment. You know something, don't you? I know something? Yeah. You're acting really, really weird. And it's because you know something, isn't it? And that's why you're asking all these questions about why I'm walking down the street. No, I don't know anything. I was surprised to see you. I've been thinking about you recently, and he's like, "Look, Wyvern, okay, I don't know what's actually gotten into you, if this is something that affects me or not, but I need to go. I've got something I need to pick up. Well, let me help you with that. It's not that far. Okay, Wyvern, you are being a total creep at this point, and I want you to leave me alone because I don't know what's going on in your head. Just enjoy the rest of your day." And he stands up and he walks out of the coffee shop. And 5 minutes later, there's a screeching of tires and screaming. Loop 13. Seems appropriate enough. So it's day 2. And this time, I'm just in the coffee shop, curious. And I watch out the window as Tom walks by. And I glance at my phone, which is sitting on the table, and I watch the time pass. And 5 minutes later, there's a screeching of tires and screaming. And I go out, and there's a throng of people at the exact street corner where Tom was hit 10 days from now. Only now it's happening early. It's happening on the second day instead of the 12th day. And obviously, this is loop 13. There were 11 loops where Tom died on day 12. And now, all of a sudden, he's now died twice on day 2. And what's really confusing about this is that it's not just the wrong day, it's the wrong time. But it's still happening. And of course, the biggest problem is the fact that it doesn't leave me with much opportunity to fix anything. So is my demon, who has some exaggeratedly long name with absolutely too many consonants, so I'll go ahead and call him Cinnamon Bun. Is Cinnamon Bun changing things to make sure that I can't be released from this? Or is something else going on? And how would I find out? Because I tried to resummon him in the past, but nothing happens. And it's at about this time that I realize that Tom has died in front of me, and I have become so accepting of this fact that I'm just going, okay, well, this isn't happening the way it used to. The point is, something has decided that it's going to take steps to stop me from interfering. No matter how much that may screw up other aspects of the timeline. And of course, last loop, Tom, this person that I knew so well, was acting so cagey, so squirrely. And I realized that as hard as it is to deal with the start of the loop, oh, that's nice, rolled straight to 14. This next time around, I need to get Tom first. Loop 14. So I'm exhausted. It's like I haven't flown far enough to really comprehend jet lag, but I'm sure it's the same feeling that people describe, where it just, your brain is like, nope, the time is completely wrong. But I still managed to drag myself out of bed, get ready, and get moving. And at this point, I finally noticed something that I haven't on the last 14 loops. Probably something that I really should have. But there's a voicemail. And on the voicemail is my boss telling me that if I miss another day of work, I am fired. And this is the first time that I've even thought of that. You know, it's been go back, save Tom, go back, save Tom. I completely forgot that there is still a world. Hey, pigs. Just doing some solo journaling. Let's see. Carefully kept secrets. So I've got this voice message, and after thinking for a while, I realize I don't care. I don't have the mental strength to try and change anything about how I've been handling this loop. Except for the fact that it's gnawing at the back of my head that he said again, if I miss work again, but I haven't yet. This is the first day of the loop, and yesterday I absolutely would have been at work. And that card was exactly where I was headed for, so that works really well. So the Monday that started the loop should have been a day off. Tuesday, yes, Tuesday, I would have skipped because Tuesday or day 2, whatever, is when I go to... Yeah, let me go ahead and take a moment and go ahead and say that day 1 of the loop is the Monday. Day 13 of the loop is the Sunday. So, the Tuesday always has me, ever since the loop started, the Tuesday has me taking the day off without thinking about it. And that's when I really look at the date. Today is day 11. The reason why Tom has died the last couple of times on day 2, on the Tuesday, is because it's not Tuesday. Let me go ahead and math here. So following Monday would be 8. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So this is the Thursday, day 11. So not only has something been changed to make it harder for me to react, everything has changed. Yeah, I really feel like I've already established you discover something that transcends this iteration having to do with the detail in the world around you, which is that the loop has completely reset itself. So loop 15. You take action to change the events of the loop, and this has to do with schemes, conspiracies, or grim portents. A few loops back, I made an attempt to summon the demon that I am now calling Cinnamon Bun, the one who has forced me into this loop. So, Thursday, I wake up and although I'm exhausted, I go to work. I apologize to my boss. I tell them that some things came up and I didn't even realize I hadn't charged my phone. And that I was going to go ahead and I could go ahead and take another shift the next day if you wanted me to. And one of my coworkers hears that and says, I'll take him up on that. So do my job on Thursday, do my job on Friday. Obviously, some point during the day, I get the call that Tom stepped off, whatever. And on Saturday, everyone's talking about it, and the best I can muster is, yep, that's sad. That's really, really sad. And then on Tuesday, which is when I made the call to Cinnamon Bun, I go ahead and try and summon him. Because he doesn't have the excuse that he did last time, which is that it was a week before I should have summoned him. He reset the time, and by the rules that he set, this is the day when we talked. And again, I perform the ceremony, and again, to my relief, sort of, he appears all big and boastful and powerful, and he says, "You wish to trade?" And I'm like, "No, I don't actually. I've already traded." And the eyebrows on his gargantuan face raise slightly. And then he sniffs the air. And he's like, yeah, I do. My scent is upon you. You have been marked. That is very strange. Let me take a look at the terms that we set before. And he brings up one mighty hand and slams me to the ground. And then with a razor-sharp fingernail, slices through muscle and skin to reveal a still beating heart. This is strange, he says. So, we made a deal on this day that you would be given 2 weeks to attempt to save your friends. And somehow, the terms of that deal changed without me being aware of it. I will have to look into this. And of course, I'm gurgling and sputtering, and he shrugs and says, yes, I'm sure it hurts horribly and all that sort of stuff, but you'll be back up soon enough. And surely enough, Loop 16 begins. So, we're going to go ahead and quickly montage. Jack of clubs. There's a detail in the world around you that is forcing me to contend with the isolation of the loop. Well, the detail in the world around me is the fact that all of a sudden I'm into this loop, but it's later. And I just kind of give up this time around. Loop 17. The lawyer comes back around, and this time I'm polite to him. I accept his offer. We go down to the bank, and he allows them to cash the check into my account. And at one point, the lawyer's like, Didn't you used to have a friend who that I think that I heard on the news that they died? Yep. And not much I could do about it. Starting to feel like I'm seeing the same spade cards. So, loop 18. Annoyingly, this time the lawyer doesn't show up. Which means that if I could break out of the loop, it wouldn't be with the benefits. Loop 19. At this point, I'm starting to lose track of what's happened so far and why. The sequence of events has become muddled. And it's not like I can write things down, because anything I write down is going to be lost the next time I travel. So I'm trying to find a way, maybe on day 13 before I go to bed, I go ahead and chant what's happened this time around and see if that can help me at all. Let me double check. I think, yeah, Spades is you take action to change the events of the loop. And at that point, I think about the me who will be. And I think about the fact that when I encountered him, he looked to be a decade or two older than me. And Annie was in the same situation. So either I got out of this loop and then tried to come back in, or I stay in the loop and for some reason Annie's there with me. So on the last night of the loop, no, I've already said that I can't I was thinking that I could have Wyvern wound himself and have that wound carry over, but if that was the case, then he'd still have all the scars from when Cinnamon Bun read its contract, so that's not happening. So this time around, I'm doing something different. I'm looking for me. I'm looking for that ultimate in the stranger that I've met before. So when Tom dies, and obviously it's a hit and run, I go to the officer on the scene and I'm like, I swear I saw the guy. He looked like me, only like 10, 20 years older. In the hopes that if I put this in their ears, they might find the me and they might arrest the me. And maybe that would give me an opening to talk to the me. I'm going to go ahead and use both the cards to see if that... So a couple of days pass. And this time I'm trying to be normal with the loop. I'm trying to be Wyvern as everyone knows him, except, of course, people think it's very strange that I seem to have gotten over Tom's death so quickly. And then Annie comes into the coffee shop that I work at. And she's all smiles as she comes in, noticing people. And then when she gets to me, still looking like she's smiling, she says, "What have you done?" And I say, "I don't know." And she says, "Well, it can't happen." And that's when I notice the gun that she snuck out from her purse and has pointing at me. I would say that covers the four of diamonds quite well. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the story to a close. How does the time loop finally end? Draw a final card or choose. It's the answer I've been looking for. In my little loop, a decade has passed. And I've started to obviously make out the sequence of events. And then, having made out the sequence of events, I stopped caring. And eventually, just like that one hitch where things reset by a week, that happens again. And slowly, time starts moving forward in a staggered but predictable way. This set of loops, Tom isn't dead yet. This set of loops, Tom died last week, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks. The loop keeps happening, and I can't seem to break out of it. But I start learning. Inevitably, one of the things that I learned is that Tom was a drug dealer. That's why he was there. That's why things happened the way they did. But it isn't for a while that I finally discover how and why he was killed. And one day, I have that revelation. And on that day, I look up an old friend of mine and I ask her what she would do if she could get exactly what she's wanted all her life. And then I summon Cinnamon Bun. And I'm like, so my understanding is that by the nature of this loop, you have received or have had access to Tom's soul a 1,000-fold. Whatever value souls have for demons, you've had the opportunity to take it so many times. So our deal is done at this point because you've got more souls than you could possibly want. And because this time around I have an ally, this girl that I had a crush on in school, there's 2 points of reference that he has to deal with. And that's how we ended up making a new deal. And the new deal was that he would let us go to some past loops where I almost managed to break the deal, where I almost managed to actually save Tom. And exactly as I remembered, I stopped myself. And then, with that taken care of, to make sure that causality was all nifty keen, we went for one last trip through time. We told Tom that we wanted to set up a buy. We gave him a location. We gave him a time. And then, when the time was right, we took our rented vehicle, which had been, of course, rented under a false name by someone else. And we hit Tom. I kept driving while Annie got lost in the crowd. And as the first person there, she was able to confiscate a pouch that Tom had with him, which we would then just sit on for a while until we knew that we were in a good position to sell. And that's how we finally got ourselves set up for life. And all we had to do was kill one man who had already died and died and died. And if at the end of it all, we have to pay the piper, at least we know that the nickname I've given him of Cinnamon Bun is going to annoy him for the rest of eternity. And that, once again, was Alone in the Loop. Alone in the... Please show the entire cover. You don't want to, do you? Come on. Nope. No, come on. Anyway, Alone in the Loop by Paul Doyle. I hope that you enjoyed. The castlebuilder.itch.io is Paul's itch count. This particular one was part of the TTRPGs for Trans Rights, which expired, last week, and fortunately was able to raise $60,000 for 2 charities in Idaho, where things are becoming extremely bad for trans people, which I wouldn't be able to wear this if that didn't worry me a lot. So now I have to figure out what I'm playing next week. That sounds like an adventure for tonight. But for now, I have been a Screaming Wyvern. This has been a Thursday night. And as always, you gotta be one of the good guys, because there are way too many of the bad. Good night.